Meanwhile, the United Nations is warning about the ruthless tactics being used by Islamic State in western Mosul. The High Commissioner for Human Rights says people are being herded into booby-trapped buildings and being used as human shields. The UN's warning about the danger to civilians is laid bare in the face of one little 3-year-old girl called Fermesk, who was trapped in the rubble for days. Miraculously, she survived, and Alex Rossi went to meet her at a field hospital.
This is a field hospital about 20 miles from the front line in Mosul. Thankfully, it's very quiet here at the moment. It has been for a couple of days, but it has been very busy. They are seeing a rising number of civilian casualties. This is one of the wards. In here is the Lahibi family. I should stress that they have agreed for us to film. Now, they were caught in an airstrike 6 days ago. This little girl, 3-year-old, is Fermesk. This is her grandmother, and over here is her mother. Her uncle and her father have very serious injuries, and they're being treated in a hospital in Erbil. Fermesk's twin sister was killed in the airstrike, and she herself has fairly serious injuries, but is going to make a full recovery. Dr. Hassan, you operated on the family. What kind of injuries are you seeing? I understand that they were trapped under the rubble for a number of days before they were rescued.
For this one, I found terminal small part of the terminal part of the small bowel is teared, and fecal material.
And that is as a result of having the crush injuries.
Crush. This is the result of the crush falling of the building over her and their family.
And Fermesk?
Yeah.
And the little girl, Fermesk?
The same. The same in the house. The same house. Yeah. The house for the cause of rockets on the house.
Dr. Ahmed, you are seeing a rising number of civilians coming in to hospital.
Towards West Mosul, we are receiving more patients. As attacks are going toward West Mosul, number of patients is increasing.
Increasing all the time. So there are lots and lots of people still trapped in the fighting.
Yeah, that's a big problem we face, that a patient has an emergent operation, and it came to us after 3 or 4 days after the area has been reprieved.
And what about treating these people? What kind of problems are you facing? What are the difficulties? This is obviously a field hospital. What difficulties are you facing giving people the medical treatment that they need?
Difficulties in the form of some sort of the way of the medical team from Mosul and so on towards here, transferring.
So getting people out from the fighting to the treatment that they need is difficult.
It's a big issue.
And do you have enough medical supplies?
Enough medical supplies are present, yeah.
Dr. Ahmed, Dr. Hassan, Lahibi family, thank you very much for joining us. Well, aid agencies and humanitarian organisations are increasingly worried about the number of civilian casualties, which is on the rise. And of course, some 400,000, it's estimated 400,000 people are still trapped between the fighting lines of the Islamic State and the Iraqi security forces. And as that battle intensifies around the old city, it's thought the number of civilian casualties will rise further.
Now, it's emerged that many children are being brainwashed for battle by Islamic State. Sky News has seen propaganda videos which show children being trained to fight by murdering handcuffed men who are begging for their lives. Our chief correspondent, Stuart Ramsay, has been given rare access to a detention centre in Iraq which holds these boys.
This is genuinely the most horrific video I've ever seen, and we can show you virtually none of it. It's Islamic State propaganda for sure. It shows young boys being trained to fight. But more importantly, it explains why these are not just errant boys. In the video, they hunt down and kill prisoners for real. They've been brainwashed, and they are deadly. The question is, will they always be? Because in the chaos of the Mosul battle, many of them are on the loose. Sky News has been given extremely rare access to some of those who've been caught or are suspects. Some were identified in the sprawling refugee camps dotted across northern Iraq and turned in. A dozen or so share a cell. They're well treated and spend their time praying and trying to learn English. That's an English dictionary. Their stories are similar. Reluctant to join Islamic State, they're groomed by IS members to take up the calling of jihad and ultimately martyrdom. Mahmoud is 12. He admits to being a member. His grooming took 6 to 7 months.
شوف أنا بتلبسون على كل شيء شلون يروح يطق الانتحار شلون يزرعون العبوات شلون يفسخون سلاح شلون البراهمز مادتها وين تضربها تنفجر شلون وين مصفحة يشوفون الهمر وين تضربها لازم الشباك مال الهمر وين تضربه ضد الرصاص قبل ينكسر وين تضربه بالزاوية هاي بهاي الزاوية شلون تقدر تسلل عليهم.
He said he was terrified at what was happening and tried to leave.
أنا حطوني بالسجن يعني تعذيب هذا أقوى تعذيب عندهم بالسجن لا يجيبوا لك لا مي لا أكل والجلد لما ياخذونه يطلعونه يجي عليه شرعي يغسل دماغه هذا ما رجع يعذبونه ويقتلونه يشوفونه يرجع لما يرجع. أنا إيش قد تحملت وبطلت منهم يعني تحملت كثير أعذابهم.
For the families of this lost generation, these are difficult times. They come to visit their children aware that they could be sentenced to 15 years or longer in prison, and the families themselves could be ostracized in the days after Islamic State has gone. Their meetings are short and not very private. But the Kurdish authorities holding them will take no chances with the terror threat. Of the 236 inmates here, 215 are suspected of terrorism, and there are camps nearby overflowing with young men whose intentions are unknown. The curse of Islamic State's hate-filled messages and doctrine of pure evil could take a generation at least to pass. Stuart Ramsay, Sky News, Northern Iraq.